Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Wellness Warriors. I'm Dr. Veronique Desonier, better known as Dr. V, and I'm so excited to be able to share this podcast and the many wellness warriors that I've interviewed. Today, I have a very, very special guest. She's dear to me in my heart. She's a dear friend. She came to me as a client a few years ago, and this is Lynn Krippel from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And Lynn, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today and to share your amazing story with healing.
Well, thank you. I feel honored to be here.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's start with your story. I mean, you dealt with cancer more than once. So why don't you tell us about the issues that you've had with cancer over the years?
Okay. In 2011, went for my mammogram, and they called me back in. So I had a second mammogram and didn't feel any lumps. It was very deep on the chest wall. They said, you have a tumor. So I did biopsy, got a couple of opinions, went to Duke, and they did another biopsy, said that it was cancer, did surgery. They said, you'll do just radiation. And once the path report came back, they said, no, we need to do chemo, 4 chemos and 7 weeks of radiation. It was stage 1, grade 3. And they said, because it was grade 3, that I needed to be aggressive. After that, I took one of the medicines for 5 years. Then in 2016, I felt another lump in the same area.
So this was just, so you were on the medicine for 5 years, and then just the following year, bam.
Right. I had been seeing you on The Truth About Cancer. I had started watching it the first year. I don't know if that was 14 or 15, and you were on there, and then you were on there again, and something just resonated, and I thought, I like what you're saying, and they told me this new tumor, it was fibromatosis, a deltoid tumor, but they said it wasn't cancer. But I had already planned on going to the retreat when I said, as I did the research on this type of tumor, it comes back anywhere from 60 to 75% of the time if you do surgery. They wanted to do kind of a radical mastectomy on that side. So I thought, no, if that rate of return, then I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find something natural. So I'd signed up for your retreat. When we got there, you called me or you emailed me and said, I had done all these tests because I'd signed up for your coaching program. So when I got there and you called and you said, well, this tumor is cancerous, or there is cancer somewhere. Your RGCC is 7.7. And anything over 5 showed that there was active cancer. I just was in shock because I'd come to you as a wellness. So just took that weekend of the retreat was a real gift because I learned that there were things I could do. So I started in on the program and just learned so much, met so many wonderful women, and just dove in on all the supplements, everything you told me to do. Just
you were an avid student, and
yes, I was going to get rid of this in 3 months. That was my thought. That was because I'm one of these. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And
right.
So the healing crisis.
Yes.
started.
So when you started, you definitely had some challenges, and it would have been very easy for you to give up. But tell them about the healing crisis that you had initially.
Yes. We were traveling, and I was taking all the supplements, the Halen, the Very Strong, the mushrooms, and just my body. Looking back now, I know that the testing we did, the DNA testing and all, showed that my body doesn't metabolize like most people's. And so I was taking all these, but I wasn't detoxing. I wasn't doing my coffee enemas, hadn't started that. So I started the small little rash, and that was in June and July, and I started in May. So I was maybe 6 weeks into it. And then it just got blisters and itching, and it, and I read everything I could. You said you never seen anything quite that bad before.
Yeah, it was
And
pretty
it was,
bad.
all I could do was put ice and just stay home. And I really didn't think it was going to work for me. I thought, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be able to take these supplements. And I went into some pretty much of a despair, you know, but you said, let's just stop everything. So the end of July, August, and September, I was off the supplements. And then we started back very slowly once I started healing. And at that time, I found Dr. Dong also, and I started doing more detoxing, more vitamin C IVs, salines, and the hyperbaric and things like that. So I started doing some of that, then ozone therapy. And so all that was helping my body to heal. And so was started back very slowly, did not retest until January. And when I retested, I was only from 7.7, I was 6.9. So I was like,
Went down a little bit.
And I remember you telling me, because I was so discouraged. I knew that
Had to be gone by now.
it was going to be gone. And so when you said it's like a train, and that was such a good visualization for me. You said it's like a train. You've stopped it in the track, and the wheels are turning backwards. And for me, that gave me hope. At least I wasn't going in the same direction, and that it was working, but it was working a little slower than I liked.
Right.
And so then we started talking about the dental.
That was a difficult one for you because how long did you wait before you actually started working on the dental? It was over a year.
Yeah, May to May. Yeah, it was a year.
Yeah,
and
because you weren't making the progress that I thought you should be making. And so
right.
I said, you really need to address the dental. And
right.
So.
And a few of the other divas had done it. And Maureen was my big, she said, I did this. I said, well, if you can do it, I can do it too. And I had 3 root canals, 3 amalgams, and then I have 2 implants. I still have the implants. And so I first found a doctor in Greenville, South Carolina, and he removed the root canals. And so then when I retested, that was in July, and I think I got those out in May. My numbers were 3.6. They'd gone in half. So I thought there was so much infection in those root canals, and they were right on the meridian, the right side, the meridian of the breast. And during the thermograms, I was completely red, down my throat and into the breast. So I was a believer then that it did work.
And most people are. There was another client in Maine, or Massachusetts, so her number was at 14. And I was concerned for her, and she resisted. Then finally she did the dental, and now she's down to like 3 something.
Yeah.
So it makes such a big difference, because there is so much infection that suppresses your immune system, and especially if it's sitting on that breast meridian, then it's just dripping toxins to that area.
Right.
So.
And then I went to Nunnally.
Dr. Nunnally in Texas?
Texas. I asked the dentist in South Carolina to do the scan to see if I had cavitations, because he wasn't going to do it. And so I asked him if he would do it, and he said, you have 2 cavitations. So I sent it to Nunnally to have him look at it and to give me his opinion. He said I had 4 cavitations. So I flew out there. You had just done it. I said, okay, if Dr. V can do it, I can do it. They were so nice. They pick you up at the airport. They bring you. And it was just the fear of not knowing what was going on. They were so good. I had 4 surgeries that day. He replaced a couple of crowns that had amalgams under them, put me to sleep, did the massage, no bruising, no pain meds. It was amazing. Used the ozone. And I'll probably go back and do another checkup with him this year at some point, just to be sure it's all cleared up and see if I needed to do anything else.
Yeah. No, he's great. So for those of you who are looking for a dentist, an excellent dentist that specializes in cavitations, Dr. I forget his first name. Dr. Nunnally. Anyway, Dr.
Nunnally, yeah.
Nunnally in
Stephen
Marble Hill,
Marble
Marble
Falls.
Falls,
Yeah.
Texas.
Um,
Beautiful
and
practice.
he also, they were, the cavitations that I had were from wisdom teeth from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've always had an autoimmune disease, since I was 30 and pregnant. They thought I had lupus for years. And then the numbers, as I was healing and doing other things, it was stress. And so that all cleared up. And those numbers, they say I don't have lupus. And so.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So where are you today on your healing journey?
I'm getting ready to retest on the RGCC. The last one that I did was last December. No, I did one in right before in May, just to see where I was. My number's 3.5, and the IV gene is 11. So
very good. So in the
I
green
thought, so I thought I would do the RGCC again and do all the supplements over, see what has changed, and be sure I'm taking the most powerful things. And then I'll probably right before the retreat do the IV gene again.
Awesome.
So,
now, you also went to Hope for Cancer retreat in Conqueror.
I did.
And you had some great results there as well. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. I went to the retreat, and it was really good. And having the just being with that small group and having you go over the essentials again, every time, you learn something, and something just, it's like that onion, just a little, you learn a little bit more. And so I did the ultrasound, and I was really a little anxious about that because I still felt that tumor area, but it had been 3.5 inches long by almost where they did the biopsies. It spread when they did the biopsies. They did 5, and it became from maybe 1/2 inch to 3.5 inches long within a month or so.
Wow.
So when he did the ultrasound, and they took a lot of time under that arm, and I was just sweating. I was, oh, please. But he said, it looks like maybe a clip, a little scar tissue, but all your lymph nodes look good and everything looks good. So, yeah. So I spent a lot of time on the thyroid because I've had goiter and thyroid issues for years. But he said everything looks good. And then I also had one at the hospital here, and that was a few months earlier, and all that was good. Blood work from the traditional oncologist is all in good ranges. Nothing's elevated in the traditional testing also. So
what about the inflammatory markers? Have you done the 3 inflammatory markers?
Yes. And I'm going to redo those probably next week. And they were all in normal range, and they were all good. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yep.
So I don't like to use the term cancer-free because that's what traditional medicine uses, right? And it tells people they can go live their life and not worry about cancer ever again. So I kind of coined the term that Dr. Nasha Winters uses, Nasha Winters, about cancering. Is your body actively producing cancer or not? And I think you're safe to say that you're not actively cancering right now. So
right. And I like that term too. I think because I was told that I was cancer-free from my oncologist right before I saw you, a week before. And I thought about that. I thought, what's the one thing that the gift was that if I had not have come to the retreat, that I probably would not have known, because these tests wouldn't have been done. And so then the cancer would have come back somewhere aggressively in time. So now, I know I'll keep, you have to, keep your eye on, keep testing, but I can do it now with a little bit more ease, and know that if it goes up, I know what to do to bring it down. And so there's no use to guess. And you say that over and over, don't guess, but, do the test. And so you're not guessing, there's science behind it. So that's a wonderful thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So out of all the 7 essentials, which you followed very closely, which ones would you say were most challenging for you? We know what dental was.
Yeah, yes, that was one I really was pushing and screaming. I mean, if Maureen hadn't done it, you hadn't done it, I don't know if I could have had the courage to do it, because I've always been a little anxious under the going into the dental. But the emotional, definitely. I just we have so much in common, being abused as a child, and suppressing that, not talking about it till I was in my 40s. The alcoholism in my family. I would always just box everything up and just say, tie a good bow around it, put it up on a shelf. I'll think about that tomorrow.
Right.
And so, I had done do those boxes and continue. Something will come up and think, oh, well, I probably haven't dealt with that completely. So the tapping, the healing codes that I do, I mean, just there's so many tools that, I'm so thankful for. Just that can help you in that subconscious. Like one of the little prayers that I say is by Dr. Lloyd. It's the known and unknown. Whatever, sometimes we don't even know what we need to release. And so that subconscious mind. But that's something I will, continue. Being a caregiver, I was a caregiver at a very young age I'm one of 8 children, but I was number 6, but it was like I was the number 1. They all came to me because I could stuff those feelings and be strong. So
Right.
didn't cry, didn't show emotion. Yeah, it didn't show emotion. Now I actually cry.
That's great. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was something, when you look at the big picture as far as your healing journey, what would be a big takeaway? Like what is a big aha for you through all of the journey? What that you learned that was like really stands out?
That your body can heal, that because I went from so fearful and that this isn't going to work for me, I'll have to go back to the chemo, radiation, surgery, to there is science behind this. There are tests, and it shows exactly the RGCC. I know a lot of people, oh, those numbers are, but it's the only test I know of that really tells you what will kill the cancer cells in your body. So just that test, the importance of it, and not to guess, not to just be taking everything anyone says, but to test and the science behind it, and that there is hope and the body can heal. It takes a lot of work, and but it is definitely worth it. And to give people hope and encouragement, and doesn't matter where the stage is, and believe the body, to believe that the body can heal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your words of encouragement? Somebody's just been diagnosed and they're listening to this podcast. Mm-hmm. What would you tell women out there that they've just got the diagnosis? What would you tell them?
Read your book, join join the group, get on the Facebook, because I think that hearing other people's stories, and seeing their healing journeys is so different than anything in traditional, if you're going to go the traditional route, and a lot of people do, and the integrative approach, but just don't do it alone. Call me or call one of the other divas, but to get involved and just to learn, to read and to learn and to me, I'm an artist, and I'm not, I have to read something sometimes over and over and over to get it. And, but as I share, the things I've learned, it just reinforces to me what I have learned and the knowledge that I have that can help other people. So, and to encourage others, and not to think it's a death sentence. Just I know you, I think, have said it's just like a diabetes or any other disease. It can be managed, and Natasha says, that it's like the cancering. Your body can spike up and down, where you are, where there's a lot of stress emotionally, and so different things are going to make the numbers go up and down, but they definitely can go down.
Yeah, it's a matter of, like you say, managing, keeping a pulse on your health, and knowing that, this is a manageable dis-ease. It's not, doesn't have to be a death sentence like traditional medicine pictures it to be. And speaking of artists, I want to show you. I haven't framed this yet, but
Yeah.
Lynn is an amazing artist. She does watercolors, and she's going to have, in the second edition of my book, I'm using several of her paintings in the chapter heading. So I'm really grateful for that. So if people wanted to buy some of your products and know more about your artistic talents,
I'm getting ready to set up a page, but they can go to Facebook under Seasons Art by Lynn Krippel, and I always put my new things on there. And I just did pillows and coasters, and I have lots of cards and prints, and I'm going to do more with sayings and things, just encouragement from the journey. And it's called Seasons Art. I did that right after my cancer, because to everything there's a season. And so, whether we're going through that winter or the deadness and the fall, and then the spring and the summer where the growth are. So,
yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. I didn't realize that's how you named your season.
Because I love Ecclesiastes, because it talks about all of life: a time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to be born, a time to die. So if you realize that there is a season for everything, you can embrace life, and you can embrace whatever's going on. And
that's awesome.
So, and I just thank you so much, because you gave me the courage to continue going, and Deanne, who I've worked with also, and just and so many of the divas, being able to call each person and say, I'm really struggling here, and we've lost a few along the way, and that was hard. That was a hard season, but everybody's in a different place, and some people couldn't afford the products that really needed. So that's my passion too. If there's any way to do that through my art, I'd love to give for some charity in that way too.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
you've
had an amazing journey. I'm very grateful our paths have crossed, and thank you so much for everything that you do. Lynn hosts, she does some teaching on the 7 Essentials in Dr. Dong's office in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Dr. Dong, by the way, is an amazing integrative doctor, which I need to have her on the podcast as well.
Yes.
She has all kinds of therapies there in her office. So if you're looking for a doctor, you may have to travel to Myrtle Beach, but it's a beautiful place to go.
Yeah.
So.
And she does all the testing. Anything that you ask me to do, she gets it right away. She'll say, we need to do this in the office. So she's just been wonderful. And the laser watches, that we got in Cancun, I've been doing those daily, and she does have those also in the clinic, and I know you're probably going to do them, but those are wonderful. And another tool, there's so many tools that you can use to, so I have been using that on the tumor areas and just anywhere where there's pain. So it's amazing.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, Lynn. It's been great. I'm glad we got to connect, and
thank you.
Look forward to sharing this with our audience.
Thank you.